welcome back to my YouTube channel, and this is going to be our part 9 of our e-commerce app. And in this video what we will do is that for the first thing is that we'll refine the design of our order info screen, and then we'll implement the address collection screen where user can give their address for their order. And once the user address collection is done, we'll work on placing the orders, and that is basically the part 1 of this video. And then also we'll also implement order listing screen where we will list the orders and their state. So that is the part 2 of this video. And without wasting any time, let's just get started. But before starting, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do subscribe, and let's just get started. Okay, so I'll get back to this screen. So over here you can see this is our existing implementation. Previously we had this thing. The first thing is that I want the formatting to be done the way the currency is formatted. So let's just get started with formatting the currency first, and then we can also work on the other stuff as well. So to implement the currency format, what we will do is that I'll go over here and I'll create a package. Okay, this is basically going to be my utils package, where basically I will be writing all my utils classes. And the first thing is that I'll do over here is going to be currency utils. Okay, this basically is going to be like an object class, a singleton class that we can use. And now inside this currency util, what we need to do is that we will create a formatter. Okay, so I'll create a function, and let's say something like this. Okay, what it does is that basically it will take as double as a parameter. And right now, like, what we can do is that you can also add currency as well, so that if you want. And I'll by default set it to USD, because in this specific project we have just only USD. So for now let's just keep it USD. But if you want to like specify different currencies like PKR or INR or your euros or anything like that, you can just change it over here, or maybe pass as a parameter as well. Okay, so this is basically one way to do it, and this is not basically an ideal situation. We basically just add dollars to into this, which is not required. We want the format to be done based on the currency. Okay, so what over here what we will do is that we'll call it format is equals to number format, and make sure to select this java.text. Okay, and then we'll call for get currency instance. You can also define the locale on whatever. By default it will take the locale of the device. Okay, and the next thing is that basically what we want to do is that we want to define the currency for this as well. So this is going to be this, and over here what we will do is that we'll call this currency dot get instance. Okay, and then over here what we will do is that we'll pass the currency code that is being passed over here. This means that this will create an instance based on the USD that we have passed, like, or whatever we pass from the other side. Okay, that's one thing. And now we'll just get rid of all this because this is not required. And over here you will be using format, the dot format. This dot format means that it will format the double value that you pass as a currency, and you can now use it. Okay, so now let's just use this specific function and get over here into this specific cart summary screen that we have. And now over here what I'm going to do is that I'll just use this price, and then I'll also just define the amount, like the quantity of it. Okay, so we will do is currency utils dot format price, and then inside that what I'll use is cart item dot price, and then X. And I'm just like not going to show the total amount, because the total amount will be shown in the bottom as well. So that's one thing. That is like the amount quantity multiplied by whatever the number that we had. That's one thing. And we also used an amount row as well over here, where basically we use this. So inside this what I'll do is that we can just get rid of this. We don't need this. Okay, we can say currency util dot format price, and then from over here what we will do is that we'll pass amount. That's one thing. Okay, and now let's just run it and see if what I have said or what I have implemented basically works. And now let's go to cart and I'll go to the checkout screen. And now you can see the format looks much better. Like over here the total has these commas, and then the dollar comes, and then we also have those ending to digits value as well. So it looks much better than the previous design that we have. We still have a lot to do, like the font size looks very big, and then there is a lot of spacing that we need to fix. And also I have some other design changes that I want. Okay, so what we need, what we will do, that we'll add some design changes to this as well. The font looks very big, so let's just get those things fixed. Okay, so over here inside this amount row section, you can see that basically the padding is added as a whole. So what I'll do is that I'll just use the horizontal padding over here. And also this title medium looks very big, so I'll just like use title small for this. I'll also use the same over here for this one as well, and rather than body big we can use body small as well, so just like that the font looks smaller, right? Also this padding is there as well as a whole, so I'll just add horizontal to this as well, so that those sections just shrink down. So let's just use font size is equals to 14.sp. Basically that's pretty much what we want for both of them, for body small and as for title small as well, right? And let's just use the same thing over here as well. Okay, okay, now it looks something like this, which is much better than the previous one. And we also need to do some other changes, like right now this looks like this. What we will do is where was that, let's just get rid of this as well because we don't need these. Okay, we just want the rest of the stuff. And now if we go to our lazy column, let's do some stuff over here, like the width should be there, and then we can also add some clipping to this. And I'll add a round corner shape to this because we want this to be round in a shape. And next thing is going to be the background, and for background what I'll do is that I'll use uh, light gray, dot copy, and then alpha 0.4f. Okay, that's because I want this to have some slightly background as well. And inside that we can implement that, and we also need this thing to be title medium, and I'll make this as order summary. Okay, and now let's just go to cart, check out, and you can see now it looks, well, it slightly feels like very congested in a way, but other than that you can see that the things looks much better now. I'll just add padding, internal padding as well to this, so that it just leaves some of the space. And also let's just add like this horizontally, if it's this, let's just add some vertical padding, maybe 4.dp, so that just doesn't shrink. And we can also do the same for this as well over here to this as well. Okay, so what I've done, I've added some vertical padding to this. Now I've added some vertical padding, so now hopefully there will be a slight spacing between these, and then now it looks like this, which is much better than the previous one. Okay, now the next thing is that we want some like that we want some user address section as well on top. So for that what I'm gonna do is that I'll create a new composable. So let's just create that composable and start with composable function address bar. And over here what we can do is that we need to send some address. Right now there is no address, so let's just keep it the way it is right now, but in future what we will basically do that. So and now the next thing is we need a raw, and for a raw what we will do is that we'll add some modifier to this. And the first thing we want should be max fill width so that it covers all the spaces. And then also we'll add some padding internally, or sorry, externally as well. Then I'll use some clip also, although I'll not be using any background for this one, but let's just add this, and then also some more padding internally as well. Okay, that's one thing. The second thing is that I want an image for this. Okay, so I have exported the image, and you can also get it from the Figma file that I have shared with you guys, and I'll just import that. So let's just, this is the image. Okay, now let's just use that IC address, and over here what we will do is that we will create an image. Okay, and then it's going to be painter resource r dot, and that's going to be import r dot drawable dot IC address. Content description should be null. Other than that, we'll also use modifier for this, and let's just use the size. 24 sounds very small, so let's just use 40 dp, and also the content scale should be uh, inside, so like it's just fills inside that stuff that we have. I'll also add some spacer now to this as well, so that it leaves some space. And the next thing is going to be the column that will basically show something like this shipping address. That is one thing, and then we have this address that we will show to this. This text quite looks quite like bigger in a way, so I'll just make it smaller. And yes, I guess that's what we need. We want the color to be gray for that as well, and that's pretty much what we have. I guess that's how we would like to do that. And now what I will do is that I'll go to the address bar, and then I'll use it in the design. So like over here in this section for the cart summary content, you can see it's like there is nothing in over there, so I'll just use something like this. I'll create a column, and then address bar, then a spacer, basically some space, and then we also have something like this. And now let's just run it and to see if this address bar that I have created looks good. Okay, now go to cart, checkout, and now you can see this address bar is there. There's slightly a little bit of change, like it's not clickable for one thing, and then we also need to have some sort of circular background so that it shows the line to me. And then I guess that's the one thing, and once we do that, we'll start working on implementing the address screen, which is not that like major thing. It's just a simple address screen that we want. So let's just get started with that with that image thing that I discussed. And over here you can see that basically there is not enough stuff over here. What we can do is that we can clip it, and we can call it a circle shape. Okay, and also the background, for background what I'm gonna do is that I'll use light gray color with some alpha that is 0.4. And now once we run it, it looks, it will look how I want it. Okay, go to the cart, and then inside that cart, let's just see. Okay, now you can see that it looks much better, right? We have this address section, we can make it clickable as well. And for that, what we will do is we just, yeah, I guess that's the one. Let's call it clickable, and let's use on click method over here. Just don't do this, let's just use it this way. Okay, and that is going to be on click dot invoke. For now, let's just do this. Or also, what if you want, you can also add address over here to this. That is going to be a string, so that it just doesn't hard code anything, you can use this address like this as well. Okay, and now if I go over here, it will start complaining. So over here for this, I can add some street. We'll definitely update it like based on what user input, but for now, let's just keep it this way. Okay, now let's just start working on implementing the address screen. Okay, so let's just get started and go to this UI feature section, and over here what we will do is that we'll create another package and let's call it user address. Okay, and this is going to be a simple class, so let's just create a class with the user address screen, and that's going to be a function. We also need to make it a composable as well. Okay, and along with composable, what we will do is that we will get address for this, but before like any address or anything, what the first thing that I want over here is that I want a Kotlin data class. So that is going to be user address, and it's going to be a data class. Okay, what exactly this means, that basically this will define what do we need from a user to enter. Okay, so that's the user address that we have created. Now just a couple of more things that we want. Let's make it serializable, and also let's make it what was that, parcelize. Okay, and this class is supposed to extend parcelable. Okay, so that's basically I have a parcelized it because I'll be passing it from different screens as a bundle parameter, so that's why I have parcelized it. And now let's just get to our user address screen. Over here what I want is that I'll see if there is any user address that is basically available, right? Second thing is not like this basically design doesn't require enough of the information, so what I'll do is that I'll just create a modifier, and modifier dot fill max size, that's one thing. Okay, and the next thing is that we'll create some states, for example wall address line is equals to, remember, mutable state of something like this, or it's not state map, it's going to be mutable state of. Okay, and then this is not supposed to be, it's just this. Okay, if it's there, fine, else we'll just use an empty because we want this to be a string. Okay, that's one thing. RESS address line. Second thing we have is that we have a city, then we have a state, then we have postal code, and we also have a country. So these are the things that we want. And now outline text field, right, and the value is going to be address line dot value, and on value change what we will do is that address line dot value is equals to IT, right? And we also have to like add some label into this, or it's going to be text, and inside text we'll add something like address line. So that's something. What else? I guess we also need to define the modifier to fill in all the space so that it just like don't do leaves or anything. And then we also need some padding from all side, from top, bottom, left, right, every side, so that it doesn't like get close to the borders. That's for address line. And now we'll just use for the city. Then again this is going to be for state, and this is going to be for postal code, and then this is going to be for country. And then in the last what we will do is that we'll create a button, right? And on a button, on click is basically another thing, but for inside that the text is going to be save, right? and we also want this modifier, like this button, to fill the whole screen. So we'll fix max width. Okay, now the important thing is that we want to return the result. So like whatever users select over here, we want to create an address object out of that. So let's say we'll call it use address, is basically something like this, which basically means that we created a user address screen, and now we want to return this object as a to back to the previous screen, because that is where basically we want that address, right? So to do that, what we will do is that we'll use the backstack for the nav controller, and since we don't have the nav controller, we want that nav controller as well. So that is another thing that we would like to pass. And now inside this on click section, what we will do is that we will say wall previous backstack entry, and that is going to be nav controller dot previous backstack entry. And now what we will do is that we will go for this, and then we will call for save state handle, and inside that what we will do is that we will set, and user address is going to be the key. So what I'll do is that I'll basically create a const wall for that, right? And then so that you can like use it as a constant and it's not changed from anywhere. So I'll do something like this. That is one thing, and then what we will do is that we will just nav like using nav controller, will pop backstack. So what over here what we did is that we took the previous stack entry, like current stack entry is going to be the user address, that the previous stack entry is going to be the card summary screen, right? So that is basically we get that, and then inside their save state handle, what we did is that we added this to their that class. Okay, which means that once user add anything and click save, it will take all those things and then store it. We just be sure, like to be very sure, and keep it very user experience friendly. What I'll do is that the button should only be enabled when all these things are like non-empty, like address line should have something, city have should something, state have should something, postal code should have something, and country should have something. Like every item should have something before the button gets enabled, so that we just don't like put in half information to this and pass it, because server required all these informations. Okay, so that's one thing. Now what we need to do is that we also want to access this address bar, like we don't have anything over here. So to do that, the first thing that I'll do over here is that I'll create address, and that is going to be remember, and that is going to be mutable state of, and let's call it address, sorry, it's going to be user address, and make it a nullable and pass it as null. Okay, that's one thing. So basically the initial state would be this, and now let's just like create a launched effect, and inside that launched effect, the launched effect is supposed to be done through nav controller. So okay, and now inside this what we will do is that we will, first thing is that if you remember, we use the save state handle like for that. So now what we will do is that we'll go nav controller dot current backstack entry, that is basically the backstack entry, and then from there what we will do is that we'll access the save state that basically we are supposed to fill in, and then what we will do is that we will call it save state dot get state flow, and this is going to be that key that we defined, user address screen, sorry. That's one thing that we want to add, right? And then the first value that basically we would like, that the initial value, for now it says initial value null, but I'll just pass the address dot value, so that it whatever that it has, it take it as a initial value, and then address value is going to be the user address, which means that Now when there is like change, when user input anything, that will basically update this section in the address value. So this is how it will be doing it. Now that's done, and once that is done, the next thing we would like to do is the user address. So basically, where is my user address section? Over here. Now you can see that it shows something like this, but now it's going to be address dot value, right, dot toString, and what we need to do is that I'll just use this because the value can be nullable, but if it's a nullable, we'll just use this like empty, so that it just doesn't show anything. And now once user clicks on this, what we would like is that we would like to navigate, but we don't have that navigation set up. So basically let's just set up the navigation for that. And the first thing that I would like to do is to go to my routes section over here in the nav routes, and now you can see that we have this thing, right? Basically these are the screens that we have implemented, and now the next thing is that we want that data class, and let's call it user address. Okay, and over here basically the problem now arise, like if I pass direct user address something like this won't work, because the navigation, the parameter should be not null, if you want to use with nav host. Okay, so what we need to do is that we need to wrap it around it. Okay, so what I'll do is that basically the first thing is that I'll call it a route, so that we understand that this is a route. And the second thing is that inside this navigation I'll just create another class, and let's just call that a data, like it's going to be a data class, and it is going to be user address wrapper. Okay, or you can call it route wrapper. So that basically what it means, that it will contain the user address but as a nullable user address. So the user address will be part of this thing. Okay, that's one thing. Now I'll go back over here, and then this is going to be a user address wrapper, and I'll place it as place this as a user address route wrapper. What just happened? Okay, yeah, we want to make it a serializable as well, and we also want to make it a parcelize as well. Okay, and we'll also extend it as parcelable. Okay, so make sure to have this thing, and once you do that, the error will go away. Now we have this wrapper, and this is basically a nullable. And now if you remember, we added this like product nav type for this as well. So let's just create another nav type for our user address wrapper as well. So just create a new Kotlin class. Let's call it file and call it user address nav type. Okay, so over here I'll just paste whatever I had, and over here just user, I'll make it those necessary changes. And now I want to like create a nav type for this one, so I'll just replace everywhere where we see this user model, I'll just replace it. Okay, and yes, and since we don't have any of those stuff that can be, yes, we need to get this. Okay, that's one thing. And also for this we don't want to like replace or add any sort of stuff like that. So basically that's how it will look. Pretty straightforward, right? Okay, now I'll just use this address type, and I'll go over here to this main section, and you can see that this is basically for a composable that I created for product details screen. And now I'll just create a composable like this, and let's call it user address route, right? And this type is going to be user address nav type, and also this is going to be user address route wrapper. Okay, that's that. And now over here what we need is that we will be using the user address route wrapper. not route wrapper, but user address route. And once we get that route, basically this is going to be user address route. The next thing is that basically over here what we will do is that we will create user address screen. We will pass the nav controller, and now the next thing is basically user address route dot, we'll get the wrapper out of it, and out of that wrapper we'll pass the user address as well. So basically that's how the nullable address will be passed. And now let's just try to execute or run it and see if this basically works on how we expect it to be running. So I'll go to the cart and checkout screen. It will fetch the detail, and now if I click on this, it should take me to the user address screen. Okay, sorry, yeah, just missed one thing over here. We also want to navigate from here as well, so I'll call it nav controller dot navigate. And over here what we will do is that we will create user address route, right? And then inside that what we will create is that I'll create user address route wrapper class since it required the wrapper, and then user address dot, sorry, address dot value. Okay, so what I've done is that basically I created this user route object that basically created, and then inside that I pass that user address route wrapper as well, so that it takes the address. And now let's see if it basically do what we were planning to do. Now let's go to cart and checkout. And now if I click on this, you can see that it takes me to this screen. The screen is definitely not up to mark on what I wanted, but let's call it something like this. ABC 123, city is going to be New York, let's say, and state, let's call it New York. I don't know enough about those states. Postal code something like this, and then it's going to be USA. Now if I save, okay, there's just one problem, that it basically show the whole object structure into the address, but the structure is working, like the data that we want in return is working. So we just need to update our toString method so that it handles it properly. And once that is done, what the next thing is that basically we want to just pass this data to the backend, and then uh, on return we want to show a success or an error message to the user. So that's, I guess we are very close to our first part of this video. So the thing is that I'll go to my address bar where we are passing this address to, like, this class. So I'll go to the user address section, and now inside that we will do is that we'll override this toString method. And the toString method, this means that we will just pass something like this so that it just handle it properly. But it basically, we just overrided the existing toString method into this, and it just like give a formatted address structure that we wanted. Now let's just wait again for this. Now check out, go to address section, let's call it 123 ABC Lahore, Punjab, 74,000, and let's call it this. Okay, now let's save it, and now you can see the address looks really good, and it basically follows the structure that we want. So that's one part of that video. Okay, so the next thing that we want to do is that we need to place the order, right? So to do that, what we need to do is that let's just go to our domain section, and inside this domain section let's create a new repository. Okay, so let's me create this interface called order repository. Okay, and now inside this section what we will do is that we will create a place order function. So let's call it suspend function place order, right? And other than that, what it's supposed to do is that it's going to return a result wrapper as usual, and in return what I expect from this section is just a order ID. Okay, and that's it. That's how it should be done. And the next thing over here is that we will create a use case as usual. So let's just go over here and then create a new class and call it place order use case, and it should take wall order repository. So order repository as a isn't like a return, and then it should just call it, right? But there's one difference is that I want some changes, like I want to have user address passed to this section as well. So I'll go to this model section and then I'll create a new class, and let's just call it address model, or you can say address domain model to make it like specific. And this is going to be a data class, which is okay. And now we will use the same address class that we created over here, and let's just use it like this. Okay, that's done. That's one thing. Okay, now the address domain model is set up, and the next thing that we would like to do is to pass that as a parameter. So I'll call it address domain model as this, and we'll also update this specific section. Like over here you can see in this that it's not taking any parameters, right? So we will pass address domain model to this as well, and from the use case we will make it this. Okay, now that's one thing. And now I'll go to the DI section into this use case module, and inside that module what we would do is that we'll create a factory, and then we will call it place order use case, and it should get a get parameter. So our domain section is done. Now go to the data section, and okay, so there's just one more thing in the domain section that we would do, but let's just do it later on. Now let's just go to our this section, and then over here in the repository let's create another class, our new class, and let's call it order repository impl, right? And this class is basically supposed to have a network service pass into this, and it should also extend order repository, right? Okay, so now it's just like the existing implementation of this. The only thing is that this network service should be private wall. Okay, and now we don't have this place order section. Plus this result that we expect is not going to be long, it should be different, but let's just do it that handle that as well. Now go to network service, and now inside this network service you can see that we have these implementation. We don't have that place order implementation. And now you can see that I have placed the order section as well into this, and it is supposed to take address, not address string. It should take address as basically it's going to be user address domain model. Okay, that's one thing. Now that is done. Okay, and over here inside this section now you can see that it's asking me for a user ID as well. For now let's just pass user ID is 1. I just forgot about this. This should be there as well. So okay, that's something. And what next do we need is that we need to go to our network implementation over here, this network service implementation, and it will complain about our implementation for this method. So I'll just create a place order implementation over here, and now we need to create the basic implementation for this. Okay, so there is slight difference that we would like to do. For example, this domain model might not be passed because it's not serialized, and it will basically fail to do that. So the first thing that I'll do is over here is that I'll create another data class, and let's call it address data model. Okay, and it's going to be data class, and this is going to be the same section that we have, but what we will do is that we will also create from domain, right? And this is going to be address domain model. So this will basically help me convert that address data model into this specific section. And now, okay, so basically this is basically what I have. So the first thing that I would like to do is that I'll create our data model for this, and that is going to be address data model dot from domain, and will pass address to this will give me that. And the next thing is that we need to create our base URL, and since the base URL is this is going to be, let me see, this is going to be orders, and then we have a user ID. So this is one thing. Second thing is basically we need to define this method that should be post. The body is going to be the data model, and in return, that is important because in return it won't be long, it should be something else. So we need to process it, like maybe we need to get only the data that we require from the response, and the response will be different over here. So okay, so I have got this response, and I'm gonna say that let's just do it converted to this. Okay, and let's call it this. Okay, so that is supposed to be how we want. I think the format is fine. Let's call it place order response. Place order response over here, and then generate it. Now you can see that it will create a data for this. Let's just rename it to something else. So let's call it refactor rename, and call it order. Okay, let's just call it order D. Is just some randomly I just messed up. And okay, now this is one thing. Okay, now go back to our this section. Over here we will say this to be the orders or order response, and then over here what we will do is that we will call it, okay, if that's the case, we'll call order response dot data dot id, and the id is supposed to be long so that we don't mess up and it works properly. Okay, so now what I've done is that basically we will map the response into just this only in case of the 201 and 22 in case of success case. Okay, and then this place order setup is done. Okay, now that is done. Now the next thing that we would like to do is that inside this home order summary screen, user successfully submit some data, we would like to show some sort of success message to them, right? And for that purpose, the next thing that I'm gonna do over here is that let's just create one more state over here, and let's call it data as class placed order, and that is contain or order ID. That is fine. And over here, rather than this summary section, basically we'll create another private function, or maybe let's create a public function and call it place order. Okay, and this is going to contain a user address because that is what's available in the UI for now. And then in the view model scope dot launch, over here what we can do is that we can process like UI state dot value is equals to, initially it's going to be loading, right? And then we over here need another use case that is going to be wall place order use case, right? Let's make it private as well so that it's not accessible outside. And now over here, the next thing is that we will call it order ID, that is going to be user address. And since you can see that the user address cannot be passed over here, so what I need to do is that I'll create another function over here, and let's call it function to address data model. Okay. What exactly this means, that it will let me convert my address model into the domain model. So I'll do this, and along with that it might ask me for a user ID. For what? Sorry, sorry, it should not be address, it should be address domain model. Okay, that's important to do. And now once I go to this card summary screen, view model, sorry, you can see that it's now getting order ID, and then when order ID is a success, which means that the order ID is placed, else we will say that something went wrong or something like that. Okay, so that's that. Now let's call this function from our view model. When user click on that checkout button over here, you can see that this is the place where we would like to do that. So for that, I'm gonna do that view model dot place order, and then we also have a user address dot value as well, right? And just to be sure, like the button should only be enabled when the address is not null, so that we are sure that the address that we user has entered is successfully there, and then the checkout will do its job. And also, since there is another case over here now, and in that case what we will do is that we will say that in case of place order, we'll just let's create a column, I would say, and inside that we'll use this as one thing. And we don't need this, to be honest, we don't need this modifier for this. We just make sure that our column is fill max size, and this vertical arrangement is also there, horizontal arrangement is also there, so that it's like centrally aligned. And also I would like to have an image into this as well, and let's call it painter resource r dot drawable dot ic order success. We don't have that image for now, but let's just use it the way for now, and I'll add that image later on. Okay, now let's just add that image. I have already exported that image from the Figma file, so I'll just go to our vector assets, click over here, and then I'll use IC success that you can see, and let's just use that, and I'll use it IC success, something like this. Okay, and we'll also say that order is placed, everything is looks good to me. And now I will also want that user to go back, right? So let's just add another button, and then that button, let's say text, let's call it continue shopping, let's say, right? Let's, the title should be title small, continue shopping, which is good. And in this case, what we will do is that we will say nav controller dot pop back stack, right? And this destination is going to be our home. I guess that's how we should do it. We, once user do that, we will just take that user back to this screen. Okay, I guess we have done pretty of a lot of stuff, and hopefully everything would work. But let's see, I'll just run the code and see if we are able to place that order. Okay, and yes, as I said, that we need to define, like, since we are using two different use cases for card summary model, we need to define that. Also inside this data section di into this repository module, you can see that we don't have the repository for the cart, so we need to define that as for our order as well, right? So let's just add order repository, and then this is going to be order repository impl. Now let's just rerun it again, and this time hopefully it won't crash. Okay, it's successfully built. Over here we will be showing orders, but right now I've just added it, like made it to be cart. But yeah, now you can see we have this image. Let's just go to our checkout section. Now you can see that the Dell XPS 13 is there, the price is there, and then all those taxes and stuff, it becomes this. And now the button is disabled since I haven't added any address. So let me just add some address to this. 123 ABC, right? City should be Lahore, state Punjab, postal code anything, and then country, let's say Pakistan. And now when I save, you will see that the button is enabled, the address is there. Now let me just click on this, and as soon as I click, it says something went wrong. Just one thing that we missed over here inside our data model that we basically specifically created as a separate entity, we forgot to mark it as a Kotlin serializable as well. We need to make sure to have these request and responses serializable so that they can work with our implementation. So just add the serialization annotation, and then again let's just try again. Okay, so that's that. Let's go to cart. It's there, and now let's click on checkout. It's there. I'm gonna add some address, which is done, and now let's click on checkout. And as you can see that as soon as I click on order place, I definitely don't want this button to be there, but other than that things are fine. And if I click on this, it crashed. Okay, that was fine. Okay, I guess I added a wrong destination for on like navigating back, and let's see why. Let me see what I use for home in the this section. It's home screen, right? The destination is home screen, but I used home. That's why it failed to navigate back to home. So let me just fix that as well. It should be this. Also, before running, we just want to fix one more thing. This button that we have, we just want to show this button visibility only if the state is not placed order, right? So like if UI state dot value is not, then we will add this. So this means that when the order is placed, will not be showing this button anymore, right? Just one thing, we need to make it inclusive false. We don't want to like take out this home screen as well. So let's just rerun this. Now let's just go to cart. I've just added this product. Go to checkout, add an address, which is this, let's say. Okay, and once I click on checkout, you can say that it says that order has been placed, and if I go click on that, it will take me to home screen, right? And from there it will just go back, which means that the stack is cleared. So basically that was the part one of this video. I know this video is going a little bit lengthy, but I guess that's fine since we are just doing very normal thing and normal kind of things implementation over here. The next thing that I would like to do over here is that I would like to implement another screen where we would like to have these tabs on top and for orders, right? And also if I'll show you this specific section is basically orders, so I'll just convert this cart into orders so that we show orders over here rather than cart, and the cart will go up there. It might go beside this. So let's just do this implementation. So the first thing that over here is that I want this chain to change it to I want this to convert into orders. So let's just do that. Go to main activity over here, and over here, yeah, you see these are this card section. So the thing is that over here I'll just change it and I'll call it orders. Okay, and we'll just use it like this, and now you can see that this will complain about this. So This is pretty much done. This section is also asking me to, this is also again card screen, so I'll just change it to orders screen, right? So I'll go over here and then change it to orders. This is also going to be orders so that we show orders in the center. And what else do we have? Let's just refactor and rename it to cart. I see orders. Okay, so that's done. We have the that stuff is there. And now what we will do is that we'll create another screen that will basically show this, right? Because right now if I go to this order screen inside this main activity over here in the bottom navigation section over here, for cart there is this cart section, but for order there isn't any, and that's one of the reasons. So let's just use another composable for order screen. Composable, that is going to be order screen, and that's pretty much how I would like to do that. Okay, so now let's create order screen. And now for that, again, let's just go to our feature section, create another package and call it orders. Okay, and inside this orders, we'll create a class. Let's call it simple file, and that is going to be order screen. That is going to be the composable of what we want to draw, and let's call this order screen, right? And the next thing over here that I would like to do is that is going to be another Kotlin class, and this is going to be orders view model. That class is supposed to help me with, you know, view model like this, right? And definitely it will take some use case as well that we will create, but I guess that's one thing for now. Now let's do some UI implementation. So over here, the first thing that we would like to do as on top of that is going to be our let's create a column first, right? So I created this column, and this column is supposed to handle everything for me. So the first thing is modifier dot fill max size. That's one thing. Second thing is I'll create a, let's create a box. Okay, and that box is supposed to, again, modifier dot fill max width, and this is going to contain title. So I'll just add some text to this, and I'll call this orders. Okay, and modifier dot align, that is going to be center. Also for style, I'm also gonna say that it is going to be material theme title medium. Okay, that's the title. Now the next thing is, let's add some padding, right? So add some padding, that is going to be 16 dp from every side, which should be enough, I guess. And the next thing over here is that we need to create a tab raw, because that is basically we would like have multiple rows. So for that, what I'm gonna say that I'll go to tabs, that is basically equals to something like this, all pending, delivered or cancelled, right? The next thing is that basically what we will do is that let's call our order view model is equals to Koin view model. Okay, this is the section. And now, okay, so the next thing that I will do is that I'll create a selected tab index, which is going to be remember. Okay, and let's call it mutable state of 0, which means that the initially it is going to be in like mid, and then what I'll do is that I'll create a tab raw. Okay, and that is going to be selected tab dot value, and then inside that what I'll do is that I'll go tabs dot for each, And inside that, let's just create a simple text that says basically these are the things. And I guess that's pretty much what we want, right? The next thing that I would do is that let's just say whatever that selected tab that we have, we will implement a composable based on that. Now the problem is that we don't have any orders listing and like something like that. So I just need some response for that. And for that, what I'm going to do is that I'll go with get to get some orders for that user. So basically what I'll do is that I'll go to this domain model over here, you can see, and over here I'll just create the response for that order listing, right? Sorry, I'll go to this section, and then over here you can see that I have all these things ready, and I'm gonna say orders list model. Okay, this is basically going to be the orders list item for us. I'll refactor this name to orders data so that it uses it this way, and then we have orders list, that is orders data. And the item is refactor. Let's just refactor this as well, and I'm gonna say order item, order product item. I guess that's much better in terms of how we want like to show. Okay, so we have this response that is coming from backend, then we have this orders data that is this, and then we have orders this. Okay, now the important thing is this order data, because that is what it we need. We need the order ID, we need the order date, we need the status of that order, we need the total amount of that order, and we need the order ID of that as well. So these are the things that that are important for us. So let's just do that. Let's just use this, go back to our order screen, and now over here let's just create another composable, right? Call it a composable function orders list, and this list basically is supposed to contain orders list of orders data. Okay, and now over here you can see that we have this. So I'll just create a lazy column, and inside lazy column I'm gonna say items. I'll use the list orders, and then pass this something like this. Okay, just one more thing, that you can also add some key for better performance of your uh, something like this, right? This is basically for better performance of our of your list, so that we'll just bind those with keys. And now we'll create an order item. Since we don't have that order item, I'll also create another composable for that, and let's call it function order items. Okay, we'll definitely implement the design on how it looks, how the status can be shown and stuff like that, but for now let's just keep it very simple. We have this column which with modifier dot fill max width dot padding, that is going to be 16.dp. Then we'll also clip this to have round corner shape, and I'll add 16 dp to that. And then we'll also have some background for like light gray dot copy, and the alpha is going to be this, or something like that. I guess that should be enough. And this is going to be this, like this padding. This horizontal can be this, vertical should be only 4.dp, so that we don't get a lot of space. And now we have this. Okay, and this is going to be coming from this. We'll definitely add some data into this, but for now let's just have an empty. So for now let's just add something empty to this. so that it just looks like that. And now what we will do is that we have pretty much done the UI structure of how the orders will look. And now what I'll do is that I'll implement how to fetch the orders from the backend and then map those to our existing models that we have already. Okay, so to do that, to do the rest of the stuff, it's just another use case that we need to create. So I'll just create another class and let's say orders list use case, right? And this is supposed to do something like this. That is going to be order repository, and this is going to be order list model, right? And the repository doesn't have that, so let's just add that to this. So we'll just use another suspend function, get order, something like this, right? And this is going to be equals to repository dot get order list. We don't need this, just use something like this. Okay, so our repository section is done, order section is done, and now we'll go to the implementation of our repository. We have this thing, let's just do this, and we need to define the same functionality into our network implementation of that as well. And over here, since we haven't added it into the back to this um, domain level network interface, I'll add this over here and it will start complaining over here. So let's just implement that over here again. Now the thing is that if I do something like that, it will not work, because again this list model that we have, why is it list model? Sorry, no, it should not be like this, it should be this. I just made a mistake, so let's just fix that. It's going to be a single object, right? It should not be a list of objects. And over here as well, let me fix that. Make sure to not add wrong implementation of that, and then again once we do that, we'll definitely accept this to be this. Now the problem over here is that this is basically coming from our domain section, which is again not serialized, and the data section should be serialized. So what I'll do is that I'll create another response over here with this response section over here, but this is going to be orders list response for that. And it will again create a couple of classes for me, and you can see that it create this which is list of data. I'll just refactor this and rename to orders list data. Okay, this is again, and then this is going to be order item. I'm gonna say order item. Now the thing is that we need to convert these whole classes to like, I'll go start from top. Let's make them serializable so that we don't miss. And also we need to define function to domain response, something like this. Okay, this means that we will be converting it to this, and then since the data class that we have in that doesn't have that, so that's one thing. And now let's just go over here and make this serializable as well. And now inside this again, well, let's just do is that we'll just convert this into this again. That's the one. Orders data, and that is another thing. And now over here again, let's just get over here and make it a serializable, and inside that we'll create another. And once we do that, all these previous errors will go away. Mapping should work as expected. And now this is going to be orders response, that is basically orders list response, which means that orders response dot to orders to domain response. Okay, So now what I've done is that basically this is what I get from backend, and then I just mapped it to the domain level of implementation of that, and that's pretty much how it should work. And that's how, I guess, pretty much what we did. We just make sure that it's a get request, and yes, that's done. In the domain DI section, let's add this factory as well for this order list use case. That's okay. And now let's just get back to our order screen into this in the order, sorry, in the order view model. Let's just use private wall orders list use case. Orders list use case, that's one thing. And again, what we will do is that we will create a shield class for states order events that is going to be loading, right? Second thing is that is going to be success, and that is going to be a data class of success that should contain our data as a list of orders data. And this, that should also be wall. The last thing is going to be error, that is going to be simple error, or maybe you can call it a data class error and pass a error message into this like this. Okay, and inside that the first thing is that we need to make it init and get order list. And now I'll create a function that's does this thing, and over here I'll go with view model scope dot launch and order list dot execute. This is going to be our response, or you can say result, that is equals to this. Now again, we will pass this result into this, and as an initial it is going to be loading. Second thing is that we will create this, that is as state flow. And now you can see that everything is done. Everything is how we want it. Okay, that's it. We have this thing. We need to go to our order screen now, and inside that we will create wall view model is equals to sorry, not view model, it's going to be UI state is equals to view model dot orders event dot collect as state, which means this. And now that's important, you need to create a when for UI state as well. And now inside that we will be using this. Okay, that's one thing. For loading, again, we don't need it. We'll just create a box with, sorry, let's create a column. Let's create a column, and inside that column we will be creating a circulus progress indicator, and also text that says this. Make sure to do this. Along with that, we'll center everything. That's okay. And I'll use the same functionality for this as well, but this is going to be the error. So that's the error that I'll show. Okay, now we have this orders, and you can see that for each orders, like if I go, there is this status, which means that it can either be pending, it can either be success, or whatever it is. So we are able to filter that, right? And now what I'll do is that Let's go to view model, make it a private, and now create another class. Let's say function filter orders, and that is going to be a list of orders data along that the filter that would like to do, and that's it. Should return a list of orders data. So we will be doing this. Okay, this means that we can use this now over here for all, which means we don't need to filter anything. Then over here we will be doing view model dot filter order, and since it's pending, we will be passing pending. Again, since it's orders delivered, it's going to be delivered, and orders dot equals to view model dot filtered orders cancelled, so it will be cancelled. Okay, so this is done. One more thing, like if it's empty, then we don't want to show any lazy column or list, so that's make sure to use that as well. And what I'll do is that I'll maybe use it to be center aligned as well, so center will show this to the user, and I guess that's pretty much done. And now let's just use this order screen in the main activity where basically we want to show it orders screen. Okay, so this is done. Let's run it and see if we are able to get some items. Okay, now I have this. Okay, as soon as I click on that, it crashed, which is really interesting. It says that order view model check for module configuration. Okay, yes. Again, let me show you. We have this view model, and inside this di we haven't defined it, right? So make sure to add the view model as well, since that is important, right? So let's just import that and try again. Hopefully this time it will work. Let's go to our order section, and now you can see, okay, very interesting. Say by it says in no internet connection, which is weird because you definitely have the internet connection, and it's actually some other error or something like that. It says 404 not found. Okay, this means yes. Okay, there is just one more mistake that I have done inside this network implementation. We haven't defined the user ID for this. Okay, so you need to define a user ID for this. I have currently added one into this endpoint as well. That is important to pass the user ID, because else it will not know what exactly it's supposed to get. And also this error message is really weird. It should say something went wrong rather than that. Now let's just go over here again, go to the orders, and you can see now I have these 5 orders, although I cannot switch to that because I haven't implemented that tab functionality for now. But other than that, you can see that I have these. Okay, so what we need to do is that there is slightly change that I would like to do, and that is because you can see this doesn't make sense, right? So over here what I'm gonna do is that I'll create something like this, and let's create a box. Okay, and this box is supposed to contain a text. Okay, so I have this thing, right? And I'll also say modifier dot clickable, and this means that once user click, it is going to be this. Okay, back. So what I'll do is that I'll create 8 as padding, and also and the next thing that I'll do is that I'll align it in the center as well, so that it is in the center. And let's just go to orders. Now you can see it looks much better. Like we have orders, all orders, delivered is empty, cancelled is no orders is right. There are no orders right now. And I guess that's pretty much, I would say it's quite a long video, but we haven't done anything like technically that's like is very complex or something like that. All we did was just we implemented a couple of UI screen and then implemented a couple of API integrations as well. So that's pretty much how we will be handling the orders. In the next screen, that is going to be our last core implementation, which is we will be implementing the sign in sign up flow, and we'll integrate into the whole flow the user ID that we have been using and passing it here and there. So that is one thing. We'll be passing the user ID into the proper, so that all user have a separate flows and separate implementation for all this. And will also implement this profile section, which means there once the user sign in will show some sort of information of that. And along with that, we will be implementing locale. So like right now, most of the strings that we have right now are in English and are hard coded, right? So in the next video, what we will do is that we'll try to make them go to the proper location from where we can translate them, and maybe we can add a translation for one another language, and we will test it how it looks on that. So I guess that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching the video. Please do like, share, and subscribe if you haven't. Comment down below about your feedback and response, and I'll see you in the next video. So till then, have a great day. Happy coding.